Good morning and welcome to the Discmania Challenge presented by True Bank out here in Des Moines. Used to be the DMC, now it's still the DMC, but Discmania, not Des Moines. I'm really excited. I have to grab my caddy credentials and everything, snag my caddy, get my credentials. I'm playing on a sweet card today. Brody Smith, Paul Ulibarri, and Mason Ford. It's going to be a good day. I'm the lowest rated by a bit, so I should get the worst on the card, and I'm trying to be more okay with those things. Of course, I want to shoot for the moon. Like, I want to shoot the best on the card. But I think sometimes I turn that into an expectation instead of like, oh, wow, this would be really cool. And then I play to do that instead of playing my own game. And so this week I kind of prepared a little different. I did a lot of videos, only practiced once plus the creative challenge. Whereas before, I would like really stress and prepare for the tournaments and then be a little more nonchalant come tournament time. So I'm excited to compete. I feel like I'm ready. Should be a good day, and let's have some fun. Welcome to the booth, round one of the Discmania Challenge. We're going round one normal, and then we'll see what happens for rounds 2 and 3, but I have some exciting videos planned for you guys. I wasn't planning on doing it like this, but this is how the weekend has worked out. Been a lot of filming, been a great time. This is my last Pro Tour event of the year, and it's going to get started on a great card, hole number 1. All I have to do is throw it farther than I did at the Creator Challenge, where I absolutely turfed it next to the drop zone, and we ended up tripling. So as long as I don't triple, we're in business, baby. Big shout out to my caddy for capturing all the footage from today, including some extra bonus stuff. I'm just going to try to run through it, first take, first time, so that I can go to bed. Thank you for following along the daily videos for the rest of June. 3 days remain. I might actually have it going into July 1st, but subscribe. Almost at 50,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Some questions about entering the giveaway. Go into my posts tab, and there you can enter the giveaway just by commenting on a post. I'll talk more about that before the giveaway. I'll make sure there's ample time for everyone who wants to get entered to get entered. That being said, I have my cider. Let's get into the video. I'm in dark mode today. Sorry, guys. What's going on? What are you doing, man? It's always cool to be able to meet people before the rounds. And hole number 1, I'm deciding to throw my same Glow Halo Emperor.
Next to the tee box, a PDGA member since 2022 from Denver, Colorado. Please welcome Anthony Bodanza.
Honestly, pretty nervous. I don't know, something about Brody intimidates me. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I like Brody. I appreciate what he's done for the sport, what he's done for content creation. I look up to him in a lot of ways, but he also intimidates me. So whenever I played with him, I don't know what it is. But just in general, first Pro Tour event back, gonna be intimidated. I got through the gap somehow. Really excited to play with everyone on the card. This is my intro, and I'm talking over it. That's kind of weird. I rinsed to 390 feet to the tree, and I know, like, hey, I got that. So I'm deciding to throw my Wraith on a little turnover because we have a left-to-right wind, I think. I end up knowing that I pulled it a little too right, but I'm hoping that it stables out. And it got close, but I think it just got taken by the wind a bit. Never crossed it up there, so I'm having to throw from out of bounds way back here. As long as I don't take a triple, though, we're in business. I throw my Scepter. Very similar to the Creators Challenge, I turf it. But, like, turf it far enough, I just have been having trouble throwing high. A lot of things to work on when I get back home for the rest of the year, but that's not what we're focusing on today. We're just focusing on banging putts. Almost. It was kind of funny. After this putt, Brad comes up to me, Yuli's caddy, and he's like, dang, you messed up the star frame. I thought we had it. I was like, dude, that was for a bogey. I took a double, so it's better than a triple. Hole 2, 700 and something foot, pretty long par 4. You have to throw kind of the sweeping hyzer out there past the drop zone if you can, and then it's either a forehand or a flippy backhand into a pretty nice green. I really like this hole. I like how hole 1 and 2 play against one another. End up just swinging out this wide hyzer with the same exact disc, and ends up landing in a pretty good spot. Brody, always first off the tee immediately. I thought I played fast. Brody is on a whole different level, not even gonna lie to you. I'm throwing that same Emperor again. This is just my disc, I guess. I should have thrown this on the upshot on hole 1. On a forehand, I'm probably about 375, 380 out. Just give it a little turn, trust it. The wind helps it a little bit, and I'm throwing a bomb. Oh, yeah. My forehand's coming out clean. I'm really liking how everything's looking. Actually, I was surprised. I didn't feel great today at all when I was throwing, but everything looks pretty clean. So there's something to build off for sure. Well, not to get too ahead of myself, I won't talk about it yet. But yeah, I end up missing that putt inside the circle, going uphill. There's a little bit of wind that gets in my head, but I just never commit to the putt. That's why I kind of miss left side, hit some chains, don't really finish through the putt going up the hill. In hole 3, I'm taking my Ezra at Buzz Assess that I was lacing lines with at the Creators Challenge and in the video with him, and I shank it. Early release left. Slowing down, I've noticed in tournaments, that tends to be my miss. I just kind of early release left. And here, again, I don't commit to the anhyzer that I need with the Scepter on the step out, and I actually go OB. So this is a putt to save the bogey. I'm 2 over already through 2. Don't want to make it 4 through 3.
Yep.
and I make the putt, which is pretty solid. Shout out to the Pacific, some new shoes from Vessi's. Completely waterproof to get my scepter back. This is great. I love having to get my disc out of the water. Hole 4, 470-foot par 4, slightly downhill, probably plays close to 430, 440, and I'm taking my pretty overstable Emperor and just ripping it down the hill on some anhyzer, because we do have a right to left wind, which will help kind of bring it back in bounds. I knew that it would turn against the wind, but always be on the safe side. I didn't really want to play with OB on this hole. If I give myself a look for birdie, great, and I end up throwing a pretty solid shot. I'm not too disappointed with it, and I'm definitely running this putt to try to make birdie from maybe a 40-foot lie. However, big shout out to the man who goes in the water. I know on coverage Ian's been calling him Shrek because it was so green with the duckweed yesterday, but shout out to him grabbing all the discs. Hopefully I don't need him on this putt because it is rolling away towards the water. I just want to give it a nice solid bid, get it chain high, but put it nice and soft so that it's not like on too much angle that it's going to roll into the ground if I miss. I do a pretty decent job. The wind's kind of coming off the lake like that, so it gets under the flight plate, and I'm left myself with about a 15-20 foot comebacker, but I feel like I've been putting pretty good. The one circle, one miss on hole 2 is not really in my head. It just kind of stinks that I missed it, and I know I can commit to these putts, and I'm making a perfect putt right in the head of the chains, and we enter the hive, baby.
Took a putt goal. We hope the course hasn't stunk too much. You know what we want to see? Come on, y'all. Let's go! Let's go!
Mason Ford up first, we're not seeing his shot. Brody, we're not seeing his shot. But I believe he did make it inbounds. I think so far everyone in the card is inbounds and I'm teeing off last. I have my scepter in hand. I just like taking that hyzer route, and I'm going to go ahead and rip it wide over that tree. Kind of trying to give it an ace run, but mostly just trying to get a birdie, because at this point I'm 3 over par, birdie-less. Pretty stoked on that.
Let's go.
It's going to be a birdie, right?
You better be.
This is a pretty cool thing. I like the whole 5 hive. I like that they have the FPO. Since I'm teeing off early, I teed off at like 11:30. Hopefully I don't get to watch FPO tomorrow because I play well enough to not be teeing off at a time that they're still on the course. But I ended up making birdie, and I really like this hole. I really like this green. This tournament is just fun. The energy is really good. Hole 6 is 600 and something feet. Big turnover. It could be forehand. I like throwing the turnover, so I take my Roman. And I thought I threw it pretty good, but I knew it was maybe a touch overturned, and I'd have a little bit of an inside up high hyzer with the forehand left, which I do with my cap wrap, which is kind of cool because I'm playing on a card with Yuli. The cap wrap is a disc that was made for him, and I thought I shorted this pretty inside. The problem with only getting one practice round on some Pro Tour courses is you just don't get enough reps to really feel out the shots, and I thought this was going to be in the woods, so I was looking for it way right at me. Ends up being a pretty perfect shot, and I'm 25, 28 feet looking at a birdie. Yep. I am able to convert, and I make it 1 over par through 6 holes, and then I absolutely throw it away by throwing probably the worst shot I could with this Emperor. I maybe should have thrown my my Wraith because it's a left to right wind up at those flags. I was feeling a right to left, and I decided to go with that, but either way it was going to be too turfed of a shot. I am giving this a bid, though. Don't tell anybody. Good layup from my bid, and I tapped that in to go back to 2 over par. Shout out to the fans. Probably shouldn't be taking pictures in the middle of my round, but we're here to have fun. Not even gonna lie to you. Last tournament of the year. I'd like to take it as seriously as possible, but this is kind of what it is. 580 feet going down the hill. I decided to throw my Wraith. We do have a touch of wind, and I throw it pretty decent. I knew I pulled it right immediately, though, and there is more of a left to right wind than we thought. I saw Yuli throw after me and had the same thing happen, and that just went straight through all those trees to nowhere. All I could do is try to pitch out through this crazy tight window with the MD5, and I actually do a pretty good job, but, I mean, unless I'm a madman because of the drop-off, there's no way that this is a birdie. I was kind of hoping it'd stay high, but end up just pitching up right next to the basket and take another bogey. So, got 2 birdies in a row, and then immediately giving back with 2 bogeys in a row, but that's okay. Hole 9, pretty solid hole. Just kidding, I actually hate this hole. I don't know why I said that. It's so uphill, and I'm so tiny. I feel like I am just like trying to shake a shot into the air. So I throw my arrow from finish line disc on a little bit of hyzer and let it flip. And actually follows the shape really perfectly. I know I'm probably not going to get there. They gave me the red flag immediately, but it's because the spotter just had the flags in his opposite hand that he normally did, so I gave him some crap for that. Shout out to you if you're the spotter. And I land about 20, 25 feet looking at a birdie again. 2 over through the front 9, not exactly where I want to be. I know a couple under will probably be cashing, but I'm just trying to shoot as best I can and get some more experience out here on the road. And I know that I can shoot pretty decent on the back 9, especially because it starts with a par 5, 850 feet, not the longest par 5. You just got to either throw around all these trees, which I don't really have right now. You could throw up the middle like I did with that Emperor, and then you're kind of left with throwing around this next tree and then a little forehand into the green. I'm deciding to take my Captain's Raptor. I probably could throw the same disc again on a wide hyzer or an even more stable Emperor. I'm not trying to play with the OB though. I'd rather just take something super overstable like this Cap Wrap, throw it on some hyzer, and try to get around that tree. Don't, but I get lucky through it and have a pretty simple upshot again with the Cap Wrap. I feel like Yuli's on the card. I got to throw it as many times as I possibly can. I got a birdie with it last time I threw it. Let's see if I can do it again. Something about that forehand just looks clean when I watched it back, so I'm pretty happy about that. It didn't feel as clean as it looked, but I have Yuli looking on lovingly as I'm 18 feet away for birdie. Half of my shots on the hole being with his frisbee.
Putt.
I'm going to make the birdie, get back to 1 over par, and I'm feeling pretty good. Going into hole 11, I practiced this hole, and if you saw that practice round with Silas, I tried a bunch of different shots, trying to go over the top early, trying to go over the top around the trees right. Then I went down the middle, and I liked that shot the best. Then I saw Mason kind of throw this inside-out hyzer, and I was like, I like that shot. So I took my stable Emperor and just tried to do it as best I can, and I did a pretty good job. I think maybe I should have thrown a slightly straighter Emperor, though, or punch it a bit harder. I got around the Mando and I just left myself up here. It could have rolled down, so I'm not too mad. So I pitch out my chicane to an area that I know I can get up and down from pretty easily. There's literally no way that I could have got up and down, but really pretty moth just landed on Mason's disc. Mason shredding at this point, right in the middle of the fairway. I think he's throwing a force there. And this beautiful moth with a bunch of little orange spots on his body and antenna now flew away. Matches his shirt, so you know it has to be good luck. I take my PA3 from here. Pretty simple upshot. Just need to be smooth. And these little upshots, like, these look so weird and they feel so weird. It got the job done, but I'm not feeling confident with my distance control on these shots. Still get the par, which is not bad from where I was. And hole 12 is a pretty simple 299 foot. Just throw it straight. So I take my buzz assess again, and I shank it again. Sorry, I'm really sorry, Ezra. That was less than ideal. I was gonna miss the Mando, hit a tree. It hits the ground. It's like, oh, maybe this is safe, and then it rolls down the hill into OB, where I still have to throw from the drop zone, which we missed, and I'm tapping in for bogey. So, not playing. 6 holes to go, though. I'm only 2 over. I would like to get back to even or a 1 under par, so I'm throwing my Wraith on a little forehand, and that's just feeling clean. I might just have to throw all forehands one round of this tournament. Yeah, that's not a plan yet, but maybe. We'll see. And I end up inside the circle. This feels like a long inside the circle putt. Some of these circle markers are interesting, and I thought I drained it. I just didn't quite commit. I thought I was going to roll it on the hill then. Unfortunately, it sits. Well, fortunately, it sits, but unfortunately, I take a par from a pretty solid drive on that hole. Still 2 over, 5 to play. Would love to get some more birdies, but yeah, I just said but, and then I said nothing. I'm not going to edit that, sorry. I want to, but I'm just not gonna. I decided to throw my pink and white Emperor. We got a little headwind. I thought I'd flip, but then I throw a really nice smoothie. It looks pretty, but it's not a good shot because it's just too short. I should have thrown my Emperor if I was gonna throw it that smooth. If I wanted to, or my Wraith, if I wanted to throw the Emperor, just throw it on a touch of flat or anhyzer, pitch up, and it's pretty decent, but not as good as I would want. I would actually want to be a little righter. This is a hole that's actually really tricky, but I really like. It's pretty fair. You really want to bite off a lot if you want an easy upshot. And so I'm kind of having to throw this turnover with my scepter to keep it in bounds. It ends up being pretty good. I overturned it a touch. Didn't get it quite the height that it needed to really get parked. So I'm inside circle 2 looking at a par if I can make this. And I really don't want to get any more over par strokes.
Let's go.
Shout out Mason for calling out the focus there. I heard in the back of my head that there was a cart just kind of slashing down as I was starting to go through my motion, but it felt good. Yuli getting razzed by a butterfly or a moth or something. Probably the same one on the other hole with Mason. So shout out that one for sticking with it. And shout out Yuli because he has those orange putters still making the putt. Hole 15 is a pretty sweet hole. I ended up throwing my scepter pretty decent, but I hit the tree that kind of guards the fairway. I didn't push it far enough, and I'm left with, I think, about 390, 400 feet. So I'm throwing my white and pink Emperor again. I definitely Need some more drivers to trust.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'm going back to Denver, and I'm only going to be playing tournaments in Denver for basically the rest of the year, except for one more trip. So I don't need to like be too concerned about having this all super dialed for here. But I throw a pretty solid shot, and I'm about 35-ish feet, looking at another birdie if I can convert. Big if, though. Airball that one. It's not bad. I think a little overcommitted. I was playing for a little right to left, and sometimes I really overplay that. Make the par, though, and that's not bad. And hole 16 is a Sphinx hole. If I want to just throw a nice, deep, committed hyzer, push it up there, throw it controlled. I can throw it smooth. I don't need to, like, over-rotate. Don't need to do anything crazy. It's only, like, 330 feet, but it plays slightly uphill, maybe. It finishes uphill at least, so you can throw it into that hillside. Unfortunately, I do over-rotate a good amount, and I find this sneaky little gap. That gets me to about pin high, 50 feet, but I have no look. I literally have to like pitch through a window that's about face high. So I take my chicane on a little forehand instead of trying to give it a good bid. Well, I try to make it with my chicane, but it doesn't really get super close. And at this point, I think Mason is 6 or 7 under par, shooting really well. Maybe 8. I think this might be for 9 under par with a birdie. Really clean. If you're looking for someone to implement in terms of like focus during tournaments, go watch some Mason Ford coverage, because every single time that he putts in a tournament, it's 3 repetitions, and then it's the exact same looking motion of his putt as his practice, similar to how he throws. Very methodical guy, very good player. Hole 17, I'm trying to replicate the shot I threw in the Creators Challenge. I throw the same disc. I just punch it a little bit high. I think I gripped onto it a little bit too hard and just skied it. And so here I'm left with not a lot. This actually looks like a better angle than what I was seeing, probably because I can't really reach out too far. And so I couldn't really throw it down that left side corridor.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the length to, so I pitch up again, and at this point, I'm trying to just get up and down onto the island, where if you miss the island, you go to a mandatory drop zone, where you at least are taking another 3 strokes from what you were initially throwing. And I throw a pretty solid shot with my MV, but I meant to throw it flat with a touch of hyzer, and I threw a very steep hyzer, which leaves me inside circle 2, looking at my bogey putt. But I think I've connected on one of these before today. Might as well pad those circle 2 stats. That's what I thought. If only. But here we are. Not the end of the world. Make my putt for double bogey, and now I'm 4 over par going into the final hole. Really tricky par 4. You got to punch it really far out this gap to have a not terrible run up, and I'm really bad at throwing up hills. That's one of the major things that I've learned from this week and some other Pro Tour courses that I need to work on, like throwing on elevation, because I'm like, you don't do that much. You're on the tee pad. False. When you're playing par 4s and 5s, you're doing that all the time. I throw a really good shot off the tee with my Emperor, just kind of flex it through that gap, and I'm throwing my Sphinx, trying to get around the corner. I just not the best at throwing through those. If I would have thrown a little wider, it would have actually probably worked out pretty well. But I hit and sat in this little area next to the drop zone. I'm not throwing for the drop zone, so I'm still throwing 3. Just pitch up my PA3, and not a bad shot. All I have is a little tap in from about 15, 20 feet to finish at my 4 over par, which I do. That is how that went. I think it's like 968 rated. Not the best. I did not lose my card, which is good, but I didn't play as good as I thought I could. If you've been watching the videos from this week, though, I've been a little shanky the whole time, so it's kind of hard to just like turn off the shankiness when you get into the rest of the tournament. And so I'm not going to beat myself up too much over how this went. I'm just hoping that I can turn it around for the next couple days, or at least learn some things and enjoy them, and get some good videos for you guys. That's what's been really fun about this week, is kind of going back to being really creator first. Everything that's going on personally, making it very hard to focus on trying to be a pro and training for that, and focus on the videos is what's been important for my family, because that's like my job. This is more of like my hobby that my job pays for, and then I just pad the purse for like Gannon Burn, Anthony Barella to win events and take my money, which, hey, that's a fun hobby, I guess. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow.